Hello, what's happening? Brian Dawson checking in. Afternoon radio personality, K97.5. I am a regular with this segment now, as you've probably seen me several times this month. But this is a very important month. We're highlighting a very serious and important subject in our community. We're talking about human trafficking awareness. And this young lady who's going to introduce herself, because matter of fact, if she's on this show anymore, I'm going to get her to co-host it because she's been on this so much. I speak to her every day. Very, very valuable asset in our community and fighting a very worthy cause. So tell them who you are and what you do and the organization you represent.
All right. So, hi, Brian. I am Kiricka Yarbough Smith, and I am the Director for Human Trafficking Programs under the Department of Administration's Council for Women and Youth Involvement Office. That's my long extended title.
So, Kiricka, my dear friend, is very qualified to be talking about what we're talking about today. But today we're kind of focusing on your agency because folks need to know that they have help. That help exists, and we got people helping that's ready to help them. So, what is the North Carolina Council for Women and Youth Involvement? What is it?
So great question. So our office was established in 1963 in order to really inform the legislators and our governor on key issues that impact the lives of women, youth, and their families in North Carolina. And so we provide services and resources, specifically funding, to all of the domestic violence and sexual assault agencies across the state.
Okay. So we talk about victims and support. What exact support do y'all offer?
Yeah, so specifically, I talked a little bit about the fact that we do domestic violence and sexual assault work. But when we talk about our human trafficking program, we do quite a few things. I think I manage a lot of programs that kind of support human trafficking work across the state. One of those programs is housing. So we provide resources, referrals, and really connect survivors and service providers who work with survivors to resources to kind of help them with housing and making sure they have that. We also have our CNC program, which is SEENC, and it's Seek, Engage, and Empower North Carolina. And so we have an online training curriculum, and we can also put that link up as well for people. It's at www.SEENC.org. But that is an online training curriculum that people can go on and take to learn more about human trafficking, from learning what the signs are, how to identify it, how to work with the survivor, to really how do you collaborate and how do you make sure that they have everything they need as they're coming out of the situation and trying to heal. Right. And so that curriculum is self-paced, Brian. It's free. We want everybody who can to go online and take it, and you get a certificate at the end.
Right. Fantastic. And you may have covered this, but I just want to make sure, what outreach methods are used, in your organization?
So, and actually, there's a couple other programs that we have too that are also outreach programs. So I'm glad you mentioned that. One of our biggest outreach programs for youth is our LEAD program. And so Kendra will be on and talk about that another day, but specifically looking at youth ages 14 to 17 who are living in rural communities, providing them with leadership opportunities, job skill training, and actually giving them employment and doing enrichment activities with them so that they can also find ways to kind of connect with each other in a world that we're so disconnected because everyone is hiding behind a screen. Right. But when we're talking about outreach, we really have had to change a lot of our outreach because we were doing a lot of in-person. But because of COVID-19 and with the pandemic, we haven't done as much in-person outreach, Brian. We've kind of shifted and really looking at doing a lot of media campaigns and even working with things like what we're doing right now, radio stations, television, trying to make sure that we're getting the message out about trafficking to the general public as much as possible. But our campaigns are all kind of geared towards marginalized communities. So people who the traditional media or outreach is not actually connecting to, our goal is to connect to those people.
Right. Talk a little bit about, I'm sure every day you get up, how challenging it is to be working in a field that the playing field shifts with social media, new ways that folks are being trafficked, or new ways that they're becoming victims. Talk about how that feels every day and what things you guys are doing to adapt to the changing landscape.
Yeah, that's such a loaded question, Brian, because I think my biggest thing right now is self-care, because it is exhausting because every time you think that you found a way to kind of reach, youth or reach other victims or survivors, there's a new method that traffickers have come up with in order to connect to them too. So it's like the same things that we're trying to do to protect them, they're also using those same things to traffic them and make them vulnerable. And so like we're doing these media campaigns and outreach and we're doing social media, traffickers are using social media. We're trying to go out in local communities, go to the schools, working with they're using the same method. They're going to the schools and, the different homeless shelters. We know a lot of times even with trafficking, one of the number one places that people are recruited from are homeless youth shelters. When people are at their lowest points, that's when a lot of times traffickers will find them. And so it is very hard for us right now when so many people are at their lowest point, in particular, knowing, for instance, with COVID, the numbers are astounding right now. And so people are feeling really hopeless and feeling a little bit despair, and traffickers are really targeting and using that.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, it could be somebody online that's experiencing this or they know of a situation. Give them some contact info.
So I would say one, we have an online directory of all the domestic violence and sexual assault and human trafficking programs across the state online. And so that resource guide is on our website. So please feel free to go over to our website because you can connect to someone in your local community. But also, if you know of a human trafficking situation, we're going to say this over and over again, it is so important to reach out to that National Human Trafficking Hotline because they can connect you with the program in your local community or with us or whoever that can help you at that given moment. And so that number is 1-888-373-7888. Or you can text Be Free to 233-733.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we mentioned that, but I don't want to gloss over it. So let's talk a little bit about this CNC program. I think I said it right. Mm-hmm. CNC program, the online training curriculum. Describe that.
Yeah, so, I talked about it for a split second, but I think it's really important. It's something that we created to help everyday citizens, service providers, anyone who is specifically working with human trafficking or working with people that may encounter someone who's been trafficked. You can take that online curriculum. It will take, each module takes about 2 hours. It's self-paced. You can start, you can stop, you can go do whatever you need to do and come back another day and continue taking it. Each module you go through, you get a certificate for that. Even some of the colleges and universities are now using that with their students. So it's something that I really encourage people to go to, which is at www.seenc.org.
I know this will be considered one of the answers, but there's victims and survivors out there that need to know what resources that are available. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone that you haven't mentioned, or we want to just continue to drive home the ones that we're talking about?
I think the main thing are the groups that we've talked about is your local programs, really connecting to that National Human Trafficking Hotline, because those are the ones that can really help and support victims across the state.
Right. What you do is so important. I can only imagine, I know I asked you that really loaded question because I was just trying to think in my head, every day you're out there tasked to fight something that really changes every day. I know you talked a little bit about social media. We briefly mentioned COVID-19. How has that affected some of the strategies that you guys have been able to use?
Yeah, we've definitely had to be a lot more creative and innovative in our work. That's just one of the things we're doing. And I encourage people, if you have a chance, ride downtown Raleigh, today. It's our last day of our Blue Lights campaign. And so we have all of our downtown Raleigh lit in, blue lights just to raise awareness, because blue is the human trafficking color, to that issue and show survivors and victims of human trafficking that we see you, we hear you, and we care about you. So we definitely want you to definitely do that. But I think really when we're thinking about how hard it is for us, we are struggling right now with really trying to connect to people as much as possible. That's why we're doing things like this and really creating more online outreach as much as possible. We're doing trainings all the time, but even those are virtual, Brian.
Right. So I guess just last question, is there any general information that needs to be said? Somebody's going to get something positive from this. Somebody's going to understand where to go. They're going to also realize that there are people out here trying to help every day. Is there anything that you want to just get out there to let the folks know?
I think the biggest thing is, and I say this all the time, is just do no harm. If someone tells you that they are experiencing human trafficking or even domestic violence or sexual assault or child abuse, believe them. It is not our job to figure out if they're telling you the truth or what the scenario or the story was. Connect them, call that hotline, or if they're in, immediate danger, call 911, but connect them to someone that can help them. It is not our job to figure out what the issue is, but it is our job to support them.
No doubt. And so, Kiricka, I look forward to having you back so we can continue to tackle these issues. To get some updates, I think next time let's talk about some real serious stories that came out positive, some things that we've done that people just need to know. There's hope out there because there's people like you that's doing this. So thank you so much, Kiricka. And you will be co-hosting the next one that you're on with me. So
Yay.
me and you will interview someone else. So I'm already calling that true. So again, Happy New Year. Thank you, Kiricka. And anytime you need a platform to come discuss this, just let me know.
Thank you, Brian. Happy New Year.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining us for Triangle Empowered.